Welcome back to Audit Decoded by Mayuri, where we simplify complex auditing and cybersecurity concepts for professionals who want to stay ahead in risk and compliance. Today's topic is one of the most critical pillars of cybersecurity and IT risk management, something that can decide whether your organization is safe from an internal breach or a complete system compromise. We're talking about Privilege Access Management, PAM, a cornerstone of modern cybersecurity governance that directly impacts data integrity, IT controls, and overall business resilience. Let's deep dive into what PAM truly means, why it's so essential, how organizations implement it, how auditors test it, and what best practices define a mature PAM ecosystem. Understanding Privilege Access Management, PAM. At its core, Privilege Access Management, PAM, refers to the policies, processes, and technologies that secure, control, and monitor access to critical systems and privileged accounts. A privileged account is any identity, human or non-human, that has elevated permissions to make significant changes to systems, applications, databases, or network configurations. This includes domain administrators who manage entire networks, database administrators who can alter data or schema, cloud admins who control multi-region environments, and service accounts that perform background tasks with high privileges. PAM ensures that these accounts are protected, monitored, auditable, and only accessible when necessary. Think of it like this. If cybersecurity were a castle, PAM is the gatekeeper guarding the keys to the kingdom. Every admin key, every master password, every root credential. PAM makes sure they are locked in a vault, used under strict watch, and never left unattended. Why privileged access is high risk? Privileged accounts are not just powerful, they are also prime targets for cybercriminals and insider threats. A single compromised privileged account can cause complete domain compromise, unauthorized changes to financial systems, data breaches or leaks of confidential information, deployment of ransomware or backdoors, and manipulation of audit trails to cover malicious activity. For example, if a malicious actor gains access to a domain admin account, they can disable antivirus systems, modify logs, and create shadow accounts to maintain persistence. From an audit and SOX perspective, this is disastrous. It threatens both operational integrity and financial reporting accuracy. Thus, PAM is not just a security control, it's a core governance and compliance requirement that underpins ITGC, SOX, ISO 27001, and NIST frameworks. Types of privileged accounts. Understanding the types of privileged accounts helps in designing a robust control structure. Human privileged accounts. These include administrators managing systems, servers, databases, applications, or cloud environments. Examples: Windows domain admins, Oracle DBA SAP Basis or Superuser, SAP All, AWS root user, or Azure Global Admin Service accounts, non-human accounts used by applications or services to interact with other systems. These are often the most overlooked and risky, since they typically have static passwords and run automated tasks. Application accounts, accounts embedded in configuration files, scripts, or middleware for connecting between databases and applications. Emergency or break glass accounts, used during system outages or emergency recoveries. These accounts require strict control, approval, and post-use review. Shared administrative accounts, common in older systems. Multiple admins using a single ID, like admin. These accounts break accountability and should be phased out. Privileged business users. Some business users, like finance super users in SAP, have access to critical configurations or data. They also fall under PAM governance. Core principles of effective PAM. A strong PAM strategy relies on 6 foundational principles. Least privilege. Users and systems should have only the minimum access rights required to perform their tasks. Nothing more, nothing permanent. Segregation of duties. SOD. No single individual should have the power to perform conflicting activities, for instance, both developing and deploying code into production. Just-in-time, GT access. Grant privileged access only when needed and for a limited duration. Automatically revoke it when the task is complete. Credential hygiene and rotation. No static or hard-coded passwords. Credentials must be automatically rotated, stored in encrypted vaults, and never exposed in clear text. Centralized control and monitoring. Use a central PAM platform to enforce access policies, monitor sessions, and generate audit logs. Accountability and auditability. Every privileged action should be traceable to a named individual, with complete logs and session recordings. Technology components of PAM. Modern PAM solutions go far beyond simple password management. They include a suite of integrated technologies that create a secure, monitored environment for privileged activities. Credential vaulting securely stores and encrypts privileged passwords and keys. Access is granted through checkout workflows and is time-limited. Password rotation and checkout policies automatically rotates passwords after each use or at fixed intervals. Users never see or handle the password directly. Session management and recording monitors and records privileged sessions. RDP SSH console provides full visibility for forensics and accountability. Privileged access request PAR workflow requires users to raise an access request, obtain manager or system owner approval, and use MFA before connecting. Just-in-time elevation dynamically creates temporary credentials or elevates user permissions for a specific task. Secrets management for DevOps protects API keys, SSH keys, and tokens used in automation pipelines, especially critical in cloud-native environments. Integration with SIEM and identity providers. PAM logs feed into SIEM systems for real-time monitoring and integrate with SSO IDP systems like Azure AD, Okta, or Ping. Phases of PAM implementation. A successful PAM program follows a structured, phased roadmap. 1. Discovery and inventory. Begin by identifying every privileged account across servers, databases, network devices, cloud environments, and applications. Include service accounts, embedded credentials, and APIs. Without an accurate inventory, PAM implementation is blind. 2. Risk classification. Classify accounts based on system criticality, access type, and exposure. Prioritize high-impact targets such as domain controllers, production databases, and ERP superusers. 3. Governance and policy design. Establish governance with clear roles, responsibilities, approval hierarchies, and control ownership. Define policies for account creation and decommissioning, access request and approval workflows, password complexity and rotation, emergency account usage and review. 4. Technology selection. Choose a PAM tool based on your ecosystem, e.g., CyberArk, BeyondTrust, Thycotic, Delinea, OneIdentity, HashiCorp Vault, or Azure PIM. Consider integration, scalability, and regulatory alignment. 5. Onboarding and configuration. Start with pilot systems, onboard admin and service accounts, enable vaulting and rotation, and test access workflows. 6. Monitoring and analytics. Integrate PAM logs with SIEM to detect unusual behavior, such as multiple failed privileged logins, access outside business hours, privileged activity without ticket reference. 7. Continuous improvement. PAM is never done. Conduct quarterly reviews, perform recertifications, and update controls based on audits, incidents, and new technologies. Auditor's perspective. What to test and review. When auditing PAM, focus on both design and operating effectiveness. Key audit areas include inventory accuracy. Verify that all privileged accounts are listed and updated regularly. Policy compliance. Check existence and enforcement of PAM policies, including approval workflows and rotation schedules. Vault configuration. Ensure encryption standards meet organizational policies, AES 256, FIPS 142. Access logs. Review logs for completeness, timestamps, and traceability to individual users. MFA enforcement. Validate MFA is mandatory for all privileged sessions. Session recordings. Review whether sessions are captured, stored securely, and periodically reviewed. Emergency access. Ensure break glass accounts are properly monitored and passwords are rotated immediately after use. SOD conflicts. Identify any conflicting access rights that violate segregation of duties. Integration with CM. Confirm PAM events, trigger alerts, and feed into monitoring dashboards. Auditors should also test sample transactions, review change logs, and verify whether privileged accounts are disabled or removed upon employee exit. Common weaknesses and pitfalls. Many organizations fail at PAM implementation because they treat it as a one-time IT project instead of an ongoing security discipline. Typical issues include incomplete discovery of service or API accounts, poor password rotation policies leading to static credentials, shared admin IDs used by multiple users, over-reliance on manual approvals without workflow automation, failure to integrate PAM with ticketing or identity systems, no review of session recordings or log analysis, ignoring cloud-native and DevOps secrets. Each of these gaps creates opportunities for privilege escalation attacks, data exfiltration, and audit non-compliance. PAM in cloud and DevOps environments. In the cloud era, traditional PAM boundaries are evolving. Cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP rely heavily on identity and access management, IAM roles, tokens, and API keys. Best practices include vaulting and rotating root and admin credentials, using federated access instead of local accounts, automating secret injection into pipelines via Vault or AWS Secrets Manager, implementing conditional access policies for privileged roles, using ephemeral credentials with short lifespans for CI/CD pipelines. This ensures that PAM extends beyond traditional infrastructure and secures identities across modern environments. Measuring PAM effectiveness. Key performance indicators, KPIs, for a mature PAM program include percentage of privileged accounts managed by the Vault, average time to grant and revoke privileged access, frequency of credential rotations, number of privileged exceptions and age of open exceptions, audit findings related to privilege misuse, number of anomalous privileged sessions detected by analytics. Continuous measurement ensures accountability and helps demonstrate compliance to regulators and auditors. PAM directly supports multiple compliance frameworks. SOX ensures integrity of financial systems through controlled admin access. ISO 27001 addresses privileged access under Annex A9. PCI DSS requires management and monitoring of administrative accounts. GDPR protects personal data by enforcing least privilege. NIST 853 CSF enforces privileged account control and auditing. Auditors often rely on PAM-generated logs, access trails, and approval workflows as primary evidence of IT control compliance. Closing thoughts. In essence, privilege access management is not just a security solution. It's a strategic risk management discipline. It's about knowing who has the keys to your digital kingdom, how they use them, and when they shouldn't. It's about transforming privileged access from an uncontrolled vulnerability into a monitored, auditable, and accountable process. A strong PAM program builds trust in systems, in processes, and ultimately in the organization's ability to protect its most critical assets. Thank you for watching this deep dive on privilege access management. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Audit Decoded by Mayuri, your trusted space for IT audit, cybersecurity, and risk management insights.